What is the earliest thing you can actually remember, not something someone told you happened, not a story repeated so many times it became yours, a real memory? One where you can almost feel the room, hear the voices, remember how small the world looked. For most people, the answer starts somewhere around age 3 or 4. Which raises a genuinely strange question. Where were asterisk you before that? Because you existed. You were there, fully alive, feeling things, learning things. Crying, laughing, getting attached to people, forming reactions to the world. Yet somehow almost all of it disappeared. You don't remember learning how to walk. You don't remember the first time you recognized your mother's voice. You don't remember falling asleep in someone's arms feeling completely safe. And if you think about that for too long, it becomes deeply unsettling, because it means an entire version of you existed and vanished without leaving a conscious trace. Most people hear this and say something simple: babies just don't remember stuff, but psychology suggests something much stranger. The truth is, babies asterisk do form memories. In fact, your infant brain was working harder than it ever will again. Psychologists discovered that even very young infants can learn patterns surprisingly quickly. Babies as young as a few months old begin connecting actions to outcomes. They recognize faces, learn emotional cues, predict routines, understand safety before language ever arrives. Your baby brain wasn't passive, it was absorbing reality at full speed. Imagine moving to an entirely new planet where you understand absolutely nothing. No language, no rules. No understanding of time. You don't know what hunger is yet. You only know discomfort. You don't understand people, but somehow certain faces calm you instantly. You begin noticing patterns. This sound means food is coming. That voice means safety. That face disappearing feels terrifying. Everything is new, everything matters, and your brain is learning constantly. The strange part: almost none of it survives in conscious memory. Psychologists call this infantile amnesia asterisk asterisk, the phenomenon where humans cannot consciously remember the earliest years of life. And for over 100 years, researchers have been trying to understand why. At first, people assumed babies simply lacked memory systems, but that explanation turned out to be wrong. Because infants can absolutely remember things, experiments showed babies learning small behaviors and remembering them days later. Some infants learned that kicking their legs moved objects hanging above them and remembered the connection later. The memory existed, so what happened to it? Why does everything disappear? Part of the answer lies inside a small structure in your brain called the hippocampus. Think of it like the system responsible for organizing experiences into long-term memory. The problem is, during infancy, that system is still under construction. Your brain is building itself while simultaneously trying to understand reality. And it's doing so at a speed that sounds almost impossible. By the time you're around 2 years old, your brain contains roughly twice as many neural connections as it will keep later in life. Twice. Your early brain is less like an organized library and more like a city being built overnight. Roads appearing everywhere, buildings constantly changing. Entire systems getting redesigned in real time. Your brain overproduces connections because it doesn't yet know what kind of person you'll need to become, so it experiments aggressively. The pathways you use survive, the ones you don't slowly disappear, which means early childhood isn't only about learning, it's also about forgetting, and weirdly enough, forgetting is necessary. Imagine trying to remember every single face, sound, smell, and emotion from infancy, every toy, every cry, every random object you stared at for 40 minutes, because babies apparently find ceiling fans emotionally fascinating. Your brain would collapse under the weight of unnecessary information. So instead, it prioritizes efficiency, it keeps the patterns, and removes the footage. Which explains something fascinating. You may not remember childhood experiences, but your nervous system often remembers how they felt, and this is where things become deeply personal. Because even though conscious memories disappear, emotional learning often stays. Think about people you trust instantly, or people who make you uncomfortable immediately, even though they've technically done nothing wrong. Think about why certain tones of voice make your chest tighten, or why emotional distance feels unbearable to some people but normal to others. A lot of those emotional patterns began forming before memory existed, before language, before logic, before there was even a clear sense of me. Because here's something people rarely think about: to remember something happening to you, you first need a stable idea of who you even are. And babies don't fully have that yet. At some point between infancy and toddlerhood, humans slowly develop self-awareness. Before that, experience is happening, but there's no clear narrator inside saying, "This happened to me." It's almost like watching scenes from a movie before the main character has officially arrived. The emotions exist, the sensations exist, but the identity holding everything together hasn't fully formed yet, and language complicates everything even more. Most of the memories you have today exist partly because language helped organize them. Think about your earliest memory. You can probably explain it, you can narrate it, there's a beginning, a middle, and emotional meaning. Babies don't have that system. They feel experiences long before they can describe them, which means even the memories that formed often had no mental label attached. No retrieval system, no filing name, like saving thousands of photos with no titles and no folders. Eventually, your brain loses access, but traces still remain. And honestly, this might be the strangest part of all. A huge percentage of who you are today was shaped by someone you cannot consciously remember becoming. The baby version of you still exists in invisible ways, in your emotional reflexes, your fears, your comfort zones, your attachment patterns, the way closeness feels, the way rejection feels. The version of you that existed before memory quietly helped design the person you eventually became. And you'll never fully meet them. You'll never know exactly what scared them, what made them feel safe, what tiny moments shaped the nervous system you still carry today. Somehow, an entire human being worked incredibly hard to build the foundation of your mind and then disappeared without explanation, which sounds sad at first, until you realize something strangely beautiful hidden inside it. Even though you don't remember becoming yourself, you still became yourself, piece by piece, moment by moment. 1,000 invisible experiences quietly shaping the person sitting here now. And maybe that changes how we think about healing too, because not everything inside you has a clear explanation. Sometimes the feeling arrives before the story. Sometimes the reaction exists without the memory. Sometimes your body remembers what your conscious mind never got to keep. That doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. So maybe the real mystery isn't why you can't remember being a baby. Maybe the mystery is this: how much of who you are right now was shaped by someone you'll never actually remember being. And honestly, that might be one of the strangest things about being alive.